this week, the hot topic of discussion has been the potential that the Washington Commanders would trade former number 2 overall pick Chase Young. And it's a guy that fits a ton of different teams, I would think. And if the price was right, would you make the deal? And you were able to find maybe some hypothetical trade compensation that the Commanders would need to get rid of Chase Young, who is going to play on the final year of his rookie contract as his 5th-year option has not been picked up.
Mm-hmm. I'm a hypothetical guy. I think everybody knows this, and I'll credit our friends over at Bleacher Report for this one. They put together 5 teams that could put together trade packages that could potentially land Chase Young, and the Houston Texans happen to be one of the 5 teams on this article. So the proposed deal from Bleacher Report would give the Houston Texans Chase Young in exchange for a 2024 third-round pick and Jonathan Grenard. Now, the Texans, of course, do not have their own third-round pick next year, so this would be Philadelphia's third-round pick that the Texans were able to pick up via a different draft day trade they made a couple of weeks back. So that's the deal, Cody. The Texans get Chase Young, and you laid out his contract situation. He's going into the final year of his current deal. They would have to give up the Eagles' third-round pick next year and John Grenard, who is also entering the final year of his rookie contract. Are you doing this?
Yes. Let me know the name of the limo company, and I'll pay for the champagne both ways. Grenard to the airport and Chase Young back from the airport.
I can only afford Uber Lux, but if you want to get the limo, that's fine with me.
Yeah, no, I'm not buying the limo, but I'll buy the champagne that's in the limo.
Okay.
It's up to the team to buy the limo.
Okay, yeah, they could take care of that, I think. Cal's got enough money.
Exactly.
We were in the top 10 for most profitable organizations in sports a couple of days ago, according to Forbes, so I know they're good for it.
I would do this in a heartbeat because you know who else is in the final year of his contract and the final year of the commitment that the team has to him? Also, Jonathan Grenard.
Mm-hmm.
And to this point, Jonathan Grenard, even at his best, has not showcased what Chase Young's best has looked like. And this third-round pick is likely a selection in the 90s because I don't believe the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be real bad next year. At best, I would say it's in the 80s. So, yeah, it's a top 80 selection. Find me any prospect from this year's draft or next year's draft that's a third-round pick that you believe would have the same level of impact that Chase Young would have with a healthy season.
I can't.
There's not one. There's not one. And, yeah, there's some financial issues should it work out. I'll cross the how much money does he make because he was awesome in 2023 bridge when I get there. And, oh, by the way, the franchise tag for defensive ends, it was only $20 million. The going rate for an elite or really good defensive end is a very expensive number. So if Chase Young's good in 2023, you just put him on a prove-it franchise tag in 2024, make him do it again, and then if he does it again, bing, bang, boom, give him the big contract, and you've had 2 incredible years of a really good pass rusher. This guy was a freak in college.
Mm-hmm.
He was incredible his rookie year.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's been out there playing and playing poorly. He's just been hurt. I'll bet on a guy like that with that level of talent almost every single time, especially if the cost is a disappointing third-rounder that's been on my team for a few seasons and a future third-rounder.
Yeah, for those curious, the Eagles' third-round pick in this year's draft was 94th overall.
Yeah.
Obviously, they finished second place. They had the second lowest pick in the draft, so it might not be that good next year, but reason to believe it could be in the high 80s or low 90s. So not a super valuable early third-round pick that you'd be having to give up more than likely in this trade. I'm with you 100%, and I think you brought up the important caveat. This cannot be a Laramie Tunsil situation where you basically have to extend the player the second the trade is finalized. If that's the case, if you catch wind that Chase Young, if he gets traded, isn't going to show up to his new destination unless he has a new deal, then sorry, I'm out. I wouldn't trade either John Grenard or a third-round pick for something like that because I just need to see that Chase Young can stay healthy. You're right. This dude is a freak of nature. I thought he was going to be a Hall of Famer coming out of college. I really did. And his first year in the league, he was awesome. 10.5 sacks, Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was a Pro Bowler. He looked every bit as advertised. And as you mentioned, in the last couple of years, just hasn't been able to stay on the field. But to me, it is worth the risk. Getting rid of an expiring contract in Jonathan Grenard and a late third-round pick to take a chance on a former number 2 overall pick, I'm absolutely doing that with that caveat that Chase Young doesn't get paid this offseason. He's got to earn it. He's got to prove that he can stay healthy because we know he can ball. We just don't know if he can stay on the field. So for me, look, you're really not losing that much with John Grenard. I'm sorry. I know what he did 2 years ago, but okay, that's what 1 out of 3 years he's been in the league where he was like kind of something. And the pass rushing here has been so bad since JJ left. It's like, oh, 8 sacks. That's all. 8 sacks. 8 sacks? We're excited about that. Like, that's a good like, John Grenard has not been very good to this point. So, to me, that's not much of a loss right there. And then, yeah, the third round, like, to go get Chase Young, to take the chance on him, it's worth it. It feels like a pretty low-risk, high-reward type of deal. So, I have a tough time, Cody, believing Washington would do something like this. I really do. And this is a national reporter who suggested this. This is not a Texans guy who's, like, rooting for Washington to be accepting of some type of deal like this. The national reporter clearly thinks that something like this could be possible in a Chase Young deal. I have a tough time believing it can happen, but dude, I kind of want to email this article to Nick Caserio right now. Be like, dude, call them up, see if they would listen to an offer like this, because I'm with you. I'm 100% in on this. This is too good of a deal to pass up.
Here's, I guess, the negative to Chase Young and the risk associated with it. He played 9 games in 2021, and the 9 games he played in 2021 were not nearly as effective as, say, the first 9 games that he played his rookie season in 2020. When he was the defensive rookie of the year, he was selected to the Pro Bowl. He was the only defensive rookie in the Pro Bowl. So the first 9 games weren't that impressive. Then his ACL injury happened, and the recovery from the ACL injury has been long and messy. I know we like to just throw 10 months, 12 months at worst on to ACL injuries, but that was not the case with Chase Young's. It took him a very long time. Remember when the Commanders were coming to town, we believed he was going to make a season debut against the Texans. Ultimately, they held him out for another week, and then he ended up playing in 3 games last season. And then the Commanders could have had a cost-controlled 5th year with the 5th-year option that rookies or former rookies or first-round picks have, and they declined it. So it's like, what do they know? And then I got to thinking, I was like, I wouldn't trust the Commanders' staff with anything.
Yeah.
If they're saying don't do something, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and Chase Young wouldn't have to play at FedEx Field anymore, which is one of the worst surfaces in all of football.
Yeah. So
and you know the D'Amico Ryans lawsuit, we've taken care of the field here.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And so this is a worthwhile bet to make. And my goodness, BK, imagine what the defensive end situation could be like if Will Anderson is as good as he's supposed to be and Chase Young recaptures what he had in 2020, and those are the defensive ends?
Yeah.
Like, that is a disgusting level of talent.
That's terrifying.
Yes.
It really is. Like, if you're an opposing team on the Texans schedule, you're kind of freaked out because you don't know how to allocate your resources to try to stop those guys. You can't double both of them. I mean, you really can't. Like, that would be a nightmare for opposing teams if you had both of those guys and they could live up to their potential. So, yeah, that to me is worth taking the risk. Like, the potential that Chase Young can be the player that he was his rookie year. And, I'm looking at some footage of him from Guardians OTAs, whatever the hell they're called now, and he's got a ginormous brace on his knee still. Like, it makes what J.J. Watt was wearing on his elbow look like a wristband or an armband or something like that. So it's a little scary thinking about that. Obviously, it's a risk. That's why you're talking about only giving up basically a couple of third-round picks in exchange for a guy who was selected number 2 overall a couple of years ago. So there's still a brace there. He looks like he's moving around pretty well. Ron Rivera was asked about him a couple of days ago. He was asked if he's a starter, and he said absolutely. So the ability is still there, you would think, with Chase Young. But, look, I'm not going to sit here and act like there's a 0% risk of bringing in Chase Young. But once again, you're not giving up a first. You're not giving up a second. You're not giving up a player who you think is a foundational piece who's going to be a huge part of you turning some things around. Like, to me, yeah, I am doing this 10 times out of 10 if it's a possibility.